Oh boy, hey, we're back. It's another episode of American Jew. That's Jordan Ferber.
That's Jonathan Randall.
And yeah, we missed you guys last week.
I know we took a week off. I had to take my birthday trip.
Jordan took a birthday trip. Where'd you go?
I got out of town. I went to Houston, Texas.
Oh boy, that's where everybody dreams of going for their birthday.
I'll tell you, there were a lot of Jews on my flight. I'll tell you that.
Oh really? Was there a Jewish birthday celebration planned for you?
I don't know if it was just for me, but I felt like, I was going to celebrate with somebody else. I have a good friend of mine that just moved to Texas, and they have a 3-year-old that I share my birthday with. So I actually went out to Texas to go to a 3-year-old's birthday party.
Oh, wow. This does not sound like a good way to celebrate your 45th birthday?
It's from 45.
45? Holy shit,
well,
Jordan.
So I'll tell you this. As far as birthday parties go, they had a playground for children and a full bar for the adults. So.
Oh, okay. Well, did you get wasted at the bar and then go play on the playground anyways?
I did not play on the playground. It was a little crowded with all the kids.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, that's good that the kid's 3 years old and he already has more friends at his party than you do, Jordan. I'm sorry. At 45.
Yeah, it was a she.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, maybe it's a they. It's only 3 that it doesn't know what they are yet, okay?
Well, listen. And then we did Benihana for the actual birthday,
When you got back to New York.
No. I did Benihana in Texas with them.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a Benihana everywhere. So, okay, wow. You sought out Benihana still for your birthday. So that's nice. I hope you had a good birthday, Jordan.
It was pretty good. I got to say, 45, I always feel like I'm trying to figure out how to make the joke about how I'm a hot single now at 45, like the old records.
I already don't get what you're talking about.
Yeah, back in the day, 45s were a record, and there was a B-side, and it was, that was like a single.
Okay, so this is just some sort of thing to your age to a 45 record.
Yeah.
It needs more work.
It does need more work.
Needs to be fleshed out more.
I got to spin that one around a few more times.
Hey! There's a good pun for 45 American Jew.
I'll find a groove for that joke.
I know. So it was your birthday. How long were you in Houston for?
I was there for 5 days.
For 5 days? Cool.
It was a good time. It was good to get out of the city. So, this weather's kind of crappy here. Weird weather in Houston. It's like 40 degrees at night and 75 during the day.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, that's not bad, right?
Yeah, it
wasn't. You got the days are nice.
Yeah, it was beautiful there.
Okay, well, I'm so glad you had a good time in Houston. Not kind of the spot I would think people would want to go to celebrate their birthday, but I guess I've been judging maybe Houston all wrong.
It may be.
And you said there were a lot of Jews there?
There were a lot of Jews on my flight.
Oh, just on the flight. But then when you got there, you're like, where are all these Jews?
Yeah, nobody invited me to Shabbat dinner.
Oh, no, that's too bad.
I didn't light
Not
any.
even your friend? Are they Jewish?
They are Jewish. We did light Shabbat candles actually one night. That's so I should backtrack.
I mean, there's only one night to light Shabbat candles, right? Friday night. You were only there for one Friday night.
That is correct.
I mean, if they would have been lighting Shabbat candles on Sunday night, then there's been something wrong.
They would have been terrible Jews.
Yes, they're not. I mean, I don't know. What does it mean to be a terrible Jew? Maybe you're just like enthusiastic about it and you want to keep it going.
Right.
I don't think that would have made you such a bad Jew to just light Shabbat candles on like a night that's not Shabbat.
Right. Well, it'd be like the Jewish Groundhog Day, right? Where just every day is Shabbat.
Okay. Well, you really wouldn't be able to do a lot of stuff, because like on Shabbat, like people that are observant Jews, like they don't, do electricity or driving cars. So like, wow, they'd be like going back to like Amish country or something if every day was Shabbat.
That would be it would be a short movie.
A short movie. Now this is a movie? Wow, a lot's happening, Jordan. It's already became a movie. So we were doing so good on the podcast, and then you turned 45 and you started slacking right away. You weren't gonna hit the new year with even more exuberance and enthusiasm about the podcast to make it happen. You went in the opposite direction, Jordan.
Well, I feel like it's good to get all the perspectives on the Jewish podcast, on the American Jew podcast. We have to have all the perspectives.
So wait, what perspective is this? Is not caring?
Uninformed Jew, I think, is the perspective.
No, but I was talking more about just like, we were releasing videos like every day, and then like you didn't send me any videos for like almost 2 weeks.
All right, or is that what
That's what I was slacking. That's what I was talking about, the slacking. What are you talking about?
Calling me out on the podcast.
I'm calling you out on the podcast. I feel like that now there's more accountability than if I just send you like fucking passive aggressive text.
Well, I'll be honest. I missed the passive aggressive texts.
I know, but I don't like. I feel like I don't need to be like being like on your fucking ass about it. Like I just want you to like send it. Like you don't need to be on my ass about like posting it and putting all the fucking subtitles and doing the dumb camera back and forth and posting them on 3 different social media sites and coming up with a little thing to say and all the fucking hashtags.
Well, maybe I'll start coming up with some passive-aggressive comments.
What? You're doing them too fast. I can't keep up with this.
Something like that. Maybe something like that.
Hey, I mean, we had such a good streak going. We got to keep the streak. We got to keep putting out the content every day. I don't think it's like that hard to cut them up, right? We only do like pretty short episodes.
Yeah, and people are liking them, right? You guys are liking our clips.
The clips are doing okay on social media. We're getting engagement. I mean, our TikTok American Jew account is over 1,000. I think over 1,100 now, which is pretty good. I know that's why we got to keep the momentum going by constantly releasing content. That's what people want to see. I had some friends, they're like, hey, where's the American Jew video for the last couple days? Every day I was hoping to see a new video so I could question our friendship because you're such a Palestinian sympathizer. And I'm like, whoa, friends. By the way, so
you're not even getting passive-aggressive notes from fans. You're getting aggressive notes.
Those were aggressive. I know. I'm the passive-aggressive. I actually had a friend of mine, a high school friend of mine, reach out to me, very concerned. Because I guess he really started getting into my videos, and of course, he's a religious Jew. He has very strong feelings about Israel. I don't think they are really 100% informed. I think they're more just kind of brainwashed from the culture that he's grown up in. And wow, he called me up and he was not very pleased. But he wouldn't. What really upset me about the conversation first, he tried to minimalize my feelings and my stance about Palestinian fundamental human rights because he said I had a bad experience with Judaism growing up. I didn't appreciate that. And then he really tried to get under my skin and be like, "Are you even a comedian anymore? You're more of an activist now."
Oh wow!
And I was like, "Ooh, low blow." But
that's a button pusher right there.
I was like, "Oh, this guy knows me." But I think what really upset me was just I was like, "Listen, man. Of course he did have points, and there are points that Israeli supporters do have, especially I think it comes from the way Palestinian leadership cares for their people and looks out for their people, which I don't think they do a really good job. I think they put their hatred for Israel above the well-being of their people. And I could get that. And of course, some of the treatment towards women and towards the LGBT community in the Muslim world isn't the best. And I could understand that too.
Right.
But I just, I was just offering, check out B'Tselem, check out Breaking the Silence, check out the movie Farha, check out, Tantura. And he's like, no, I'm not checking out any of those. And that just bothered me so much because you can't even be open enough to hear a different perspective, to think about things from the other side. It's it's really gross, and I feel like so many people are like that. And I'm just even on social media and just scrolling, and of course I'm getting a lot of content that's about Israel and Palestine, but it's just also Palestinians one side, oh, we hate Israel, Israel's the worst, we got to get rid of Israel on the other side, oh, Palestine's the worst, they don't care about people, they just want to kill us all, and it's just so black and white, and there's this whole gray area that we really need to focus on, and I'm really sick of it.
Well, we talk about, that's kind of what we talk about on the show a lot. We kind of hang out in that gray area between those points, and I think there's too many people on both sides that just aren't listening to each other, that have no interest in having an actual argument. They just want to vomit information that they have at you and have you agree with them, but they're not willing to listen to any of the things that you say.
Right.
And that's a weird thing. It's such a passive-aggressive thing to be I disagree with you, but I'm not going to tell you that I disagree with you first. I'm going to be I'm worried about you. I'm worried about you.
What's going on, Jonathan? What's going on with you?
Have you lost your way? It feels like that's the kind of conversation that they want you to take down that path with them.
Yeah, for sure. And
it's the Jewish version of "I'll pray for you."
It is a little bit like that,
right?
And he didn't even want to listen to what I had to say. Anytime I try to give him a rebuttal or something, he was like, actually, I gotta go. And then he would just hang up the phone. It's very sad. But
once you start pushing back against those people, they fold like cards. They don't have an actual argument to follow up on if they have some back and forth.
It's just, it's really sad because, there are these little things that have happened, that did happen, that, were, whether it's attacks on Israeli civilians or whether it's, mistreatment of Palestine treating its own people poorly, or, like the things like the human shields. Like, yes, there have been people that have used, I guess, human shields when like fighting Israel on behalf of the Palestinians. But that doesn't always happen. And not every time a child is murdered by the IDF is it because they were used as a human shield. But I feel like like Israelis and people, they grab onto that and like every single time it's always the human shield. And it's like, no, that has happened. And I feel like that's something that's really bad about this conflict on both sides, where people take like a sliver of truth and they blow it out of proportion. Or even on the other side too, they'll take something that's like been proven false and a lie, and they'll want to dismiss everything because of one like detail that's not factual. And again, like we got to stop. It's crazy. We got to find a way to come together. Enough of this. I was here first. No, I was here first. My people were here first. My people. It's our land. It's our land. It's like, how long are we having the same argument back and forth? How can we share the land together and move forward in a positive way? Why can't that be a bigger part of the conversation?
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I totally think that like we say all the time on this show, I just think that there just isn't enough actual intellectual debate happening amongst people that disagree with each other. They're so ingrained and so dug into their corners of their opinion that they're not even listening. Nobody's listening to the other side.
It's hard because both sides are fighting for their identity, So
yeah.
I guess I could understand why it's hard to like give even a little bit, but it's just like we need to change this conversation. We really do. We need to change the conversation about, relations with Israel and Palestine from like, your country did this, your country did this, Palestine's not real, Israel's not real, blah, 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 to how can we live together in the future and make a better world for the Palestinian people and the Israeli people, who a lot of them do live in fear. And yes, there are awful Israeli people, but there are a lot of Israeli people that aren't so bad, like the 80,000 that gathered together in Tel Aviv to protest the new government.
Yeah, they're talking about turning into a theocracy. It's all pretty scary what they're putting together over there. It doesn't feel like they really care so much about the will of the people as much as they really care about their own power grabs.
But yeah, and let's be clear, there are Israelis, there are Israeli organizations that care about the well-being of the Palestinian people and want a better world, and that needs to be acknowledged. And is there on the other side something that wants to acknowledge having a better world together, though, with Israel? Because like that is like a little bit of a problem too, There's just like such blind hatred, and there's like this fantasy that like Israel's just gonna like disappear, and like it's not going anywhere, and that needs to be accepted to move forward. We have to accept it and move forward. Doesn't mean I want it to keep expanding illegal settlements. That needs to stop like fucking years ago, but like we need to find a way to work together, not just kind of like be figuring out ways to hate on each other forever. It's so frustrating. It really is.
Well, I mean, there's it's interesting though, because I think that there still has to be an understanding that we still have to kind of fight for the Jewish homeland a little bit. I think that there are still a lot of forces out there that want to exterminate the Jews. There is still always this.
I mean, there's always going to be hatred, but I think we got to be careful with this language, because I think it's easy for the Jewish people to fall into this victimhood that we're like, oh, they're going to kill us. If there's no Israel, they destroy us. Oh, you're not going to have anywhere to go. Just wait till they come get you. Like, I don't believe anyone is ever coming to get me because I'm a Jew. Other than maybe other Jewish people that don't like what I say. Right. That's been my experience right now.
People that are coming for you are for other reasons. Is that what you're saying? That it's other reasons people are coming for you?
Yes, many other reasons.
I don't know. I've been reading about this. There's a new Tom Stoppard play about the fall of the Jewish communities within Austria during World War II, about how there was a thriving Jewish community that disappeared overnight because of the Nazis. And it's like you can have a thriving community that just up and disappears like that if something like that were to happen again, or if we get anything close like that, it's there's still, I feel like, a little bit of a sense of getting a little bit too comfortable, feeling like the Jews are going to be safe for the long run.
No one's safe for the long run, first of all. I mean, because of global warming and like a myriad of other things that could happen to you, whether it's another pandemic, whether it's just getting shot walking down the street, But I feel like, I don't know. Jordan.
I don't know. There's a lot of good. I think there's a lot of interesting pop culture out there right now that's very much dedicated to talking about what's happening, in Jewish relations and talking about Judaism. I don't know if you've been watching the Hunters show.
I watched the first season and I tried watching an episode or two this next season. It's just like not good.
I know it's not very good.
It's not good. I want it to be good. They're like now they're trying to find Hitler or something. Hitler's alive. They're trying to kill him.
Yeah.
I want it to be good, but it's just like it's not good. And I'm like, I'll give it another episode. And I'm just like, this is just not a good show. No wonder this is the last season.
I know it's tonally a little weird. It doesn't know what it wants to be.
Scott Pacino, that's what it's got.
I know, but it wants to be it really wants to be a Tarantino movie or show.
Oh, you think?
I think
Okay.
yeah, it really wants to be Inglourious Bastards Part 2 is what it wants.
Not even close.
It's not very good. But I feel like that there is an interesting dynamic on that show about how there is some truth to some of the stuff that they talk about that the American government did help relocate a whole bunch of German scientists and people throughout that did occur.
No, I mean that is true. It's weird that they took those German scientists and gave them jobs in America because they were great, even though they committed horrific crimes. And it's kind of just like how America does what suits them, which is kind of the same with all the money that they donate to Israel. And a lot of that has to do because of right-wing religious Republicans. They have like groups that give money just to Israel because one theory is because they want there to be a holy war because they think that's the only way that Jesus is gonna have his second coming.
Oh, you think that's true?
I think that's part of the reason. Yeah.
I don't know. I think a lot of politicians give money to Israel simply to pander to Jewish people. I mean, not just George Santos isn't the only one pandering to Jewish people.
For sure, but a lot of these are like very like hardcore like Christians or Catholics, and they believe in like kind of like a Christian Zionism almost, you know?
Yeah. But I mean, the whole Trump thing about how I've done more for Jews than anybody. I mean, that's a whole that mentality is, I think, a big part of a lot of those right-wing people who defend Israel or talk about how much they do for Israel. I think that definitely plays into it.
Could be. I mean, yeah, Trump's just full of shit, so you can't really like believe anything he says.
And
I mean, he preaches anti-Semitism, and there are plenty of Jews, too many Jews, who still adore him, and they'll overlook his anti-Semitism because they think, they buy into his bullshit or whatever. They like, what he did for like their taxes or what have you.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, they just want to stay silent about the oppression about the Palestinian people and the anti-Semitism that is created by Israel's treatment of Palestine, which is just like a fact that like people want to ignore and they want to be like, oh, you want to blame the victim. No one's fucking blaming the victim. It's the reality of the situation, okay?
But that's not the only source of anti-Semitism. I don't think
it's not the only source of anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism existed long before Israel did, but it is right now, I'd say, the biggest growth of Jew hatred is because of Israel and Palestine, and that's why. And there is, of course, as we saw with Kanye, and of course there's going on with Kyrie Irving or whatever, there's the elders of Zion, kind of anti-Semitism. But I feel like, more and more people kind of dismiss that anti-Semitism or are just kind of be like, look at it like, yeah, a lot of Jews are in the show business. Jews do control it like that, where it's kind of just like a little bit of truth mixed with a lot of like ignorance with a dash of arrogance. But the truth is like there are whole groups of people that just don't like Jews because of the way they, view the treatment of the Palestinian people.
Yeah. I mean,
I think that's the more dangerous anti-Semitism to us right now. We have survived the anti-Semitism for years and years. This Elders of Zion bullshit anti-Semitism, the Holocaust type anti-Semitism. We survived that. We kicked that anti-Semitism's ass. This other anti-Semitism is just hurts the Jewish people so much because it affects the way we're viewed like morally. It kind of like, it's no bueno.
Well, I just think that there are plenty of people, even though it doesn't seem that way when you post some of this stuff online, but there are still plenty of people who condemn the acts of Israel against the Palestinian people. But the fact is that as Americans, I think we still have to help curb the anti-Semitism that the Elders of Zion bullshit. Like I think.
Well, of course, we gotta attack anti-Semitism in any of its forms, but we gotta, this is again the thing. Like, of course, any of those anti-Semitism is horrible, and we want to stop it, but we can't control other people's perceptions of us. We can control the actions that give people those perceptions.
True. I guess that's true.
And speaking of which, it's like one of the, this new extremist government. It's horrible. Over 80,000 people went to Tel Aviv and protested and more. There were more in Jerusalem. There are people all over the world. And there's still a problem. They're trying to get one of these ministers out that we've talked about, Aryeh Deri, who was appointed Interior and Health Minister. And now even the Israeli High Court is like, you guys got to get rid of him. And this is going to cause a big problem because, Netanyahu did whatever he had to do to get this guy and his party seats so he would become back in power, including letting this guy, Aryeh Deri, who is a convicted criminal. He's convicted of fraud and amongst other things. And and there was a thing that under Israeli law, people convicted of crimes can't serve as ministers. But then Netanyahu, they went and they passed an amendment to that law that made it like a loophole so he could still run, so they could get those votes. And how do people say he's not corrupt? Forget about his own corruption trial. That is actually corruption. And, and let me tell you some of the things that they are trying to do with this new government. They want the ability to overturn the Supreme Court rulings, appoint judges, and remove from ministries legal advisors whose legal advice is binding. This is what this new government is trying to do. And according to the president of Israel's Supreme Court, this will erode Israel's independent judiciary, weaken the checks and balances between the branches, and spell the beginning of the end of Israel's democracy. And that is definitely something that Jews need to know.
Yeah, I mean, it is scary stuff. I feel like this happens too often where they just create these rules specifically to help themselves and then change them back. It's like,
right? They're like, this guy shouldn't be a part of the thing. What happened was this guy got convicted and then they told him, hey, maybe things won't be so bad for you if you just will leave the Knesset and won't be part of public life anymore. And he said, okay, I'll do that. And then he got off, and then he went back and just did it anyways and is a member of the Knesset,
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous that it is absolutely insane. Yeah, he should not be part of the government. And anyways, let's talk about this week's Parsha.
Yeah, well, we missed last week's Parsha. This is the beginning of Exodus that we're getting into.
Yes.
And, I felt like the one that we did a couple weeks ago, that it was like a happy ending. And now, all of a sudden, the beginning of Exodus, very much not a happy beginning. I mean, it's...
right, so we missed last week's, but
a lot of drama.
In this week's... Parsha, God kind of presents himself to Moses.
Right, we finally meet Moses, which is nice. We get a big character in Moses.
I think we met Moses last week.
We met Moses last week.
Okay.
Right. I mean, we didn't.
We didn't meet him. We didn't talk about it, but he was in the thing last week.
Right. Well, I feel like we could, kind of talk about it both parts today a little bit. I mean, just.
Oh, okay. If you want to talk about last week's too, I thought we were going just right into this week's.
I mean, I feel like last week's it's a nice preamble to this week. So we meet Moses. There's the Jews are not doing great.
No, the Jews are slaves in Egypt. Things are not going great for them. They're not being treated well.
And Moses,
story of our lives.
Moses gets put in the river and he gets raised by the Pharaoh.
Yes.
He gets taken in by the Pharaoh.
They want it. There's a dream that gets interpreted that, a Jewish person is going to rise, and this freaks the Pharaoh out. So he wants all of Jewish boys to be thrown in the river. And but Moses' parents, they put him in a little basket, and then it's found by the Pharaoh's wife.
Right. And I mean, Moses, I feel like...
And there's a lot of other stories that happen.
Yeah.
In
Moses kills an Egyptian who's trying to beat up a Jew.
Yeah, last week's a lot goes down.
And then he stops a couple of other Jews from fighting against each other, and they turn on him.
Yeah, and he has a speech impediment because he was going to grab some gold or something, and then an angel moved his hand. But now we're at this week. Let's just go to this week.
All right, we're at this week.
We're at this week's Parsha.
I mean, it's pretty early to be talking about Passover. It feels like we're getting close to the Passover Parsha.
I mean, this is the story of Passover. This is where the plagues start.
Right.
This is the first bunch of the plagues, where so God presents himself to Abraham. He tells him about he wants to get his people free. He gives him 4 things.
He presents himself to Abraham as a burning bush. It's the burning bush story.
Okay.
And God says, "Don't worry, I'm going to take care of the Jews." And then he goes and like the Pharaoh is definitely not taking care of the Jews, and he's like, "What's going on?" And God's like, wait, just you wait."
Yeah, it's very weird. So he's like asking, they're like, oh, they're going to do magic, and Moses has speech impediment, so his brother Aaron is kind of like the interpreter, and they go in front of the Pharaoh, and they're like, let our people free, let our people go, I believe is the exact quote. And they're like, no, and then they do some magic, and they throw a stick, and then the Pharaoh's magicians come, and they throw a stick, and they all turn to snakes, but then Moses' snake stick eats the other ones.
Right.
And then, Pharaoh keeps being like, oh, okay, and then they start giving, the plagues, like, he won't let the people free, and the plagues start coming, and then Pharaoh, and, it's a weird thing, because God's like, I'm going to harden Pharaoh's heart, and not let them, because he wants to, show everybody how powerful he is. It's like, I don't get these, games God is playing in this one. Ask him to be free, but I'm going to harden his heart so he won't let you be free. Ha ha ha. What are you doing, God?
It's throughout the whole Bible. The whole Torah has all these games that God plays.
Right? Why do you have to do all these plagues and everything? You're God. Why can't you just free everybody? Let everybody go free. So he turns the Nile into blood, and then there's frogs, and he's like, oh, please, Pharaoh's like, please stop the frogs, let you people free. And he's like, okay, stops the frogs, and then he never lets the people free. And I think it goes all the way to hail, to fire hail, all those plagues happen,
right.
and still
the
he's
10
not,
plagues.
Yeah,
it goes all the way up to 10.
It doesn't go to the 10th one.
No?
I think that's next week's.
Oh, okay.
It goes up to I think the fire hail is the last one. I don't know if that's 9 or 8 or whatever.
All right. Yeah, definitely raining. I mean, why doesn't God present himself to the Pharaoh and tell him that he's been doing bad and let the people
right.
go?
Let the Jews go.
Yeah.
Why can't he be like, hey, dude, just snap his fingers and switch things around? Why can't he Thanos Pharaoh and the Egyptians?
Yeah, there's got to. Why can't somebody just snap and get rid of all that shit?
Right. I mean, Moses will do some snapping when he's traveling through the desert.
I mean, I remember, all of these stories. They're so many of these stories are about God testing the Jewish people's faith. Is what a lot of it is.
Right, which is kind of weird. Again, it's I don't know. I guess this is where the whole free will argument comes in. But it's just it's God's manipulating from behind the scenes, but he's not getting directly involved or something,
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like there is. How many tests do he have to put the Jews through before he believes that that we believe in him?
Yeah, I don't know. This again, the Jews are in Egypt, and he's going to bring them to the promised land, which is Israel, the land that he promised.
They skip over a little bit of how did Moses get people to believe the fact that he was talking to a burning bush that was God. That's the part that they never really explained.
Well, and not a lot. People don't really believe. No one. It's just who's gonna believe him? The Pharaoh is kind of the only one, because even he said the Jews won't even. He says that to him. He's like, how am I gonna get Pharaoh to listen to me when the Jewish people won't even listen to me?
Yeah.
And he's like, trust me, I got your back. Show him your snake stick.
Right. I always felt like the burning bush was the closest thing we had in the Jewish Bible to the fact that weed exists.
No matter what happens, Jordan finds a way to tie it back into weed.
I mean, it grows naturally on the earth. The burning bush talking to you as God is pretty close.
Maybe it was ayahuasca.
Yeah, listen, it could have been ayahuasca.
Or some sort of LSD or DMT. Or DMT makes sense.
Yeah, okay. Whatever. Listen, the burning bush, though, I mean, it's closer. Do you burn DMT?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think you could smoke it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not a big DMT head.
I'm not a big I don't even know what it is.
I took a hit. It's a hallucinogenic. It's supposed to really put you in touch with the universe. It's one of the most powerful ones I think that there are.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you should try it.
If I know anybody that has it, I'll find out what the.
Okay, yeah, ask your guy.
Hopefully, it doesn't get followed by all the plagues.
Definitely don't want any plagues. That would be horrible if you started tripping on DMT and all of a sudden you're like, I broke out in boils. There's frogs. There's lice everywhere.
I mean, that would get me to stop smoking pot and talking to bushes as the plagues.
Oh, hey, okay. This is what we need. Jordan needs a plague to get his life together.
Well, I don't feel like my life is falling apart because of the fact that I smoke
I just
weed.
can't stop smoking weed.
Well, hopefully, I mean, I know that some of these Bible stories, some of these Torah portions, I try to look at it like it's a TV series or it's an ongoing saga, because it's I feel like there's a lot of marketing and stuff that goes on. I mean, this is how we teach the people, the Jewish people about our origins, and so these are stories to keep people engrossed.
This is the Jewish origin story. It started in Egypt and it ended at Capitol Records.
Yeah, right. I mean, we definitely have the rights to some of those songs.
Now it's like, let my people go out of their record contract.
Yeah.
Anyways, hey, this was another exciting episode of American Jew. Jordan's first as a 45-year-old. Hopefully he'll stop slacking moving forward, and we'll be able to give you that content that all 4 of you desperately want every day. Check us out across social media at American Jew Podcast?
American Jew Podcast across all platforms except Twitter. We're American Jew Pod.
Okay, but we don't really post on Twitter anyways. And, of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel and, leave us a nice comment on iTunes. And check me out across social media at Jonathan Randall.
And you can check me out across all social media at Beatnik Nudnik. And you can also follow my other podcast, Where's the Grief? And that's going to do it for the American Jew Podcast today. We'll kibitz with you again next time.